How do you grow and build a digital online business when you have no idea what you're doing, when you have no connections, no list, no audience, and you don't have a lot of time? If anything about what I just shared with you sounds appealing, or if for whatever reason you have struggled to hit six figures, or it's been with a lot of extra time and effort and energy, or you are making a pivot. You are at a place in your business right now where perhaps you have been successful and you are reevaluating because for whatever reason, things just don't seem may not work. So here we go. So again, this is a recording, but I'm still here because this is only part of it because it never got completed due to tech issues. So here we go. Oh, you see what I mean? That's hashtag real life. So let's start at the very beginning. Ask you a question or ask your advice or just wanted to pick your brain or wanted to figure out how in the heck do you do that? If any of that has ever crossed your mind as to whether or not the stuff that you know, the stuff that you've experienced, your expertise, your wisdom, and what you have gone through in your life could actually generate income to build your wealth while at the same time helping lots and lots of people, then you are in the right place. And before we get too far, the answer to all of those questions is yes, 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 yes. If you're brand new to me, my name is Susan McVeigh. And chances are, if you have stumbled upon this particular training, it's because you are curious as to how I built my multiple six figure business when I had zero experience, zero knowledge, zero audience, and zero connections in how to go about doing that. While at the same time, having to overcome a lot of major, major hurdles that are probably very similar to what you have encountered or you have already gone through, or maybe are in the midst of. So, I want to reassure you that over the next 20, 25 minutes, I'm going to share and pull back the curtains and give you the behind the scenes, the stuff that I have never actually shared in this specific manner, where I literally am laying down step by step the different offers that I have created in my business. And more importantly, why? Why did I choose those particular offers? How did it help me? And more importantly, how does this help you? Because if you are here, you have a big mission, you have a big purpose, you probably have a high level of expertise and experience that you could turn into assets, digital assets that could then create more income, more impact, and ultimately more wealth. That's my biggest mission and purpose in life, is to see more female millionaires in the world, not because of the money, but because money in the hands of good people do good things. And there's far too many people in the world that are doing terrible things. And let's face it, we need money in order to operate here on this side of heaven. And while I am all for miracles, this is our ability. This is something that we have full control over. So, with that being said, what I want you to expect or understand is, number one, this is going to be pretty fast paced. So you're going to be able to pause and stop and think about what it is that you have just been activated in, have just been encouraged to think about, and to make notes for yourself as you go along. Now, this is not a specific how to per se. If you want more of the, what did I do and how did I do it? I want to encourage you to go and pick up my free resource, 6-Figure in 6 Month Blueprint. And there is a bonus training that you can purchase after that as well. The other thing that I want you to really consider as we go through this together is, which of these different opportunities that I have actually used in my business might make the most sense for you based off of where you are. Okay. And so I don't know what that looks like for you, but what I do know is this will hopefully allow you to step into a world of possibility and start to think bigger than maybe what you have allowed yourself to think before. And so that is my biggest, deepest desire for you, is that at the end of this training together, you will have a lot of ideas, that you will have more clarity, that you will have more focus. Because here's what I know. In this digital world, it actually made things much more confusing, much more overwhelming, because instead of having clarity and direction and focus, the plurifera, did I even say that word right? Just the sheer volume of information that's available today is not what is actually helping most people. Because let's face it, right now you could go on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, like you could go on all the things, right? And if you were to do that, and chances are you have, then you would get, do this, do this, do this, do this. And so what I want to encourage you is that anything will work. Like literally anything is available for you, and they all work as long as you put in the work. But sometimes it's helpful to know why certain things work best for other people, and more importantly, why they have decided to pick those particular things to decide upon inside of their business. And so that's really what my goal and my purpose here in sharing this with you. Now, ultimately, what I want you to be able to do is make some decisions, because faith without works is dead. And so we need to be able to put some muscle behind our ideas. We need to put some work in behind the things that we want to do in order to be able to see results. That's our part of this puzzle. So what I want you to also do is pause your disbelief, because there will be parts of you that think, I can't do that. And right now is not time for you to dissect how you're going to do that. Right now is time for you to just see what shows up for you and see what is available for you to take hold of. And it could be one, it could be multiple of these. But what I do know is that if you just tap into the power that's within you and the ideas that are going to bubble up as a result of me sharing just very briefly some of the things that I have done, and encourage you to do the same, that you may find yourself either confirmed, like meaning you've pondered on something and something that I say will confirm something for you, where you go, oh, that is for me. Like now I know for sure that that is the thing that I am meant to do. For others, it's going to allow you to have a spark of something where you think, wow, that sounds very interesting. I want to do that. And if it's that simple, then surely I can put that in place. So with all that being said, let's dive in, and we're going to talk a little bit more about exactly how I went about, and I'm going to just move myself out of the way, how I started an online education business with zero experience. So that's what this has turned into be. Now, before we get too far into this journey, I would be remiss if I didn't explain to you what the whole thing was about, right? Like how did this even come about. So the backstory, the considerations, the decisions, and then we'll talk about what those decisions were specifically. So the backstory, I had experienced a massive breakdown. Back in 2015, there was the end of my corporate career. I didn't know it at the time, but that's essentially what happened. I was going through massive chronic pain, several illnesses that I was then diagnosed with, and my doctors had no expectation of me ever getting better. Their prognosis was very dire. I was still in the midst of healing when I made the bulk of these decisions that would then form the start of my business. It's what launch padded me into a 6-figure in 6-month online business. But before I get too far into that, what I want you to know is these decisions were made because I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have a lot of energy. I actually couldn't take care of myself, let alone my family or my children. And my top priority was just living. So the healing that I was going through was very invasive. It was very traumatic. And some of them in particular, the trigger point injections were very hard on my body. I would get upwards of, 100 plus injections between my collarbone to actually the top of my head. And so these are the reasons why I'm sharing some of the things that I'm sharing. Now, because I had already worked in a career for 20 years, there were some hard decisions that I had to make, and I had to pivot. I had to reconsider essentially my entire life plans, everything that I had built up to that point, and then some. I actually planned to retire from that job. So the impact was huge. It greatly impacted my family, myself, and what I was doing at the time. So out of this, I realized that there may be a new opportunity. But I needed it to be flexible enough for me to not be another job or another job where I would be tied to responsibilities and a certain time that I needed to be in and out, clients that would be demanding on what it was that I was doing, my colleagues and my managers, right? The people who were above me. So I had to be in control of my time, my freedom, my family, my faith, my health, and ultimately my income. I had to choose who I got to work with because being in that corporate environment, I didn't have much say in the matter. I actually had zero options when it came to choosing who my clientele were because I worked for a very big company. And so every single person who was coming through the door basically never got turned away. So that shaped a lot of the foundational principles and a lot of the things that I now teach and hold near and dear to my heart. So here are my key considerations. What I want to think for you, given my backstory, is I want you to think about how does your backstory shape the decisions that you're about to make? How do the things that are important to you shape the decisions that you're making? What are some of the key considerations that you want to think about for yourself? Here were mine. So I am highly introverted. I love to spend the bulk of my time all by myself. It's when I am my most creative. Now, having been around people my entire life, I'm the eldest of 3, this has always been a struggle. And so I needed to really honor that I like to recharge by myself. I have demonstrated a lot of extroverted qualities and tendencies, but I am not an extroverted person. I am outgoing, but again, those are skills that I have developed. So I only had about 1 or 2 hours a day because remember I had shared I was still going through massive amounts of healing. I was still seeing doctors most of my days. So the 1 to 2 hours that I had was not continuous. It was not like a 2-hour chunk at the end of a workday. It was 1 to 2 hours. And it would depend day to day what time I would do them, how often I would do it, and they needed to be broken up in smaller chunks. Even something as small as 5 or 10 minutes a day, those were the moments that I made the most of. Days were unpredictable because I didn't know how I was going to feel or how I was going to be reacting to some of the treatments that I was going through. I never planned for this business to be full-time. It grew into that opportunity, but I never planned to have a full-time business. I really, and you'll see later on why this is, I really just needed it to be super simple, something fun, something easy. And I was not terribly tech savvy. I grew to be more tech savvy. It's been almost a decade now, so absolutely much more tech savvy than I was in the beginning, AKA zero zero, like minus digital experience. So with all those factors in place, then I made some key decisions. I wanted a boutique consulting company. I wanted to focus on a handful of high value, high ticket clients. I was lifestyle focused, meaning the decisions that I was making was based off of my personal values, and lifestyle was a major consideration, driven by my need for my health, which is a very real thing even to today, my family, and my faith. These are my core values. I only wanted to work with highly qualified and motivated women, like I had shared earlier. And my main reason why I did all that I did was to pay for family vacations to Disneyland. My why at the beginning was not very grandiose. It was not very honorable, but it was honorable to me and my family. And it was enough for me to get going. So what I want you to consider is that your why does not have to be huge, although it definitely can be, right? I am on a mission to help more females become millionaires. That was kind of hidden in and amongst all of this. But once I knew that it was possible to get a client, once I knew that it was possible to have enough to pay for family vacations, then I dared to allow myself to dream bigger. Now, you may already be there, which is great. But in case you're like me and your why is very small in comparison to what you might be hearing from other people, I just want to encourage you there. So, how it started. Now, this timeline is almost going to be a start to finish, but there were some of these offers that I produced like this. Okay. So that being said, there is no strict timeline that I'm going to share with you around how all these offers came about, but this is the most logical way that I could present this information. So one-on-one consulting packages. Remember, I wanted to build a boutique consulting company. So packages were how I decided to do this. I was no longer trading time for money. I based my packages so that they were outcome driven, results focused. They provided specific processes, a lot of which I had actually grown, developed, and taught through my corporate career. And even before then, it allowed for high touch, high access, and a high level of support. Now, why did I choose this? Well, because I had already coached and mentored and taught in corporate. So this was a very easy transition, and it made the most sense for me. I was already used to doing a lot of sports coaching from my teenage years. I then was doing this inside of my corporate career. And so this was simple. This was easy. It ended up being low key, low stress, low tech. All I needed was Acuity for my calendaring system. And I actually collected payments through Acuity unless I was doing it directly on the conversations themselves, and Zoom. And that was it. So it required a minimal amount of work for fulfillment. I just showed up on the calls, and I was able to adjust my calendar and adjust my schedule so that I didn't have back-to-back calls. And as I grew stronger, I was able to sit for longer periods of time. I was able to help more people, and that made it super simple and easy for me. Okay. So I am going to now continue to tell the story and the journey, but now we're going to get into the rest of this and make sure that it is all teching correctly, because that's the main reason why we're doing it in this kind of three-parter. So here's what happened next. So remember the journey. We started with one-on-one consulting packages, and those packages ranged in price point. So anywhere from 3 to 5 to 10,000 plus. And then I did one-off one-on-one sessions, meaning in this case, I definitely was trading time for money. Let me just make this a little bit bigger just so that it's easier for you to see this on the screen. So let's just double check that. Okay. Now, the reason why I did this was because they were fun. So the one-off one-on-one sessions were 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and a half. So they all varied in the amount of time, but they were all the same in that they had a very specific focus. They were focused on one problem and one result. And it allowed me to identify people who might be a good fit for the higher level package, which was ultimately the thing that I actually wanted to sell, right? So remember, the model that I had chosen was a boutique consulting company. And as a result, I really was looking to engage with clients that wanted to work with me at a higher capacity, at a higher price point, and for a longer time frame. This allowed me to help people that maybe didn't fit, but also find people who did fit and who maybe were looking for a small way to work with me, at least initially, in order to assess whether or not there was a fit. So, why did I do this? And I still continue to do this even to today because it was fun. I wanted to try it. They were short, to the point, with one specific focus, rather than a lot of things drawn out over time. It allowed me to help more people. They are, again, low key, low stress, low tech. I use the exact same things that I used for the longer term one-on-one packages. So that meant it was very low hassle and very little involved from my perspective. Like, I just needed to show up on the call. I would be prepared with their questionnaire and the information that they had already provided to me. I didn't need to take a lot of extra time to provide any follow-up resources. So this was really, really simple for me. The third offer that I then created and put together were group programs. So group programs I've done on a variety of topics and a variety of lengths of time. They have ranged in price point from $197 to $10,000 and plus. And they are easy to create for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me, they're easy to create. They are simple to scale. They are focused on a specific area or topic. And as a result, it allows me to teach things that I want to teach. So, why did I do this? Well, because they're fun. I love to teach. I love to learn. I love to share what I learn and experience. And I love to be able to help people in a different way. So people needed help. They weren't always the best fit for my one on one programs or packages. And working one on one with someone is a very different dynamic than working with people in a group. So group dynamics for sure are different. Well, they're different, but I enjoy it because it allows for my more diversity of thought. And you might think that, well, Susan, you already explained that you are highly introverted. How does that work? Because I have boundaries, because I have certain expectations and policies of how I operate and how I expect people to show up within the group. And as a result, not everybody gets to join the group simply because they can pay. If for whatever reason, it is very apparent and evident that somebody has joined and they're not a fit after they've come in, then they get removed. Now, I've never had to do that, but I have had to have conversations with individuals that have crossed boundaries, that have started to influence the rest of the group in a manner that is not healthy and is not productive. And so there always is an opportunity for us to grow as we're continuing to grow our people as well. So the fourth offer that I put into place was paid workshops and masterclasses. I did these on a variety of topics, and I will continue to do them even to this day. So they range in time. They are 1 to 3 hours, but they could be longer. I just want you to consider, if you are doing them longer, is kind of the brain power, like the mental capabilities of a human being. No matter how smart they are, we all start to fade. We all start to get fatigued. We all start to lose some, joie de vivre after a certain period of time, because what's easy for you, what's effortless for you, is not in everybody's wheelhouse. So it takes a little bit more than just the time of what you're teaching for them to absorb it, to integrate it, and then to execute it. So 1 to 3 hours, I wouldn't recommend anything more than that. So I've charged anything from $33. I actually think I've done a couple that are less than that to test different price points, but $33 to $3,000. Now, why did I select this one? Variety. I get bored easily. These types of offers keep things interesting for me. They are short. They are an intense burst of focus. of time and energy. And dare I say, they're hyper focused because they are uber specific, right? So where a group program and a course we'll get to in a moment, they can be a bit more broad. With a paid workshop or a masterclass, like I'll give you an example. If you are a mindfulness expert, a paid workshop or a masterclass would be perhaps on creating one custom meditation for yourself, right? As opposed to you giving all of these people, and maybe you do that within the container of your one-on-one coaching, is that you create custom resources like custom meditations for your clients, that in this particular masterclass, all you would be doing is teaching them how to create their own. Maybe it is a very specific type of meditation as well, right? Maybe it is a loving kindness meditation. And so that is the topic that they would be getting as a result of working with you in that paid masterclass or workshop. They're uber specific. The more specific, the better, I find. So they allow you to have an intensity of your expertise, and it allows you to share a depth of understanding, no fluff. So I'll give you an example of one that I had done. So inside of one of my signature programs, which is Create Your Irresistible Offer, one of the modules is on pricing. Obviously, if you're going to make an offer, you need to understand how you're going to price it. Now, for most people, that's plenty. But as I was going through and working with clients in more depth, that they were starting to ask a lot of different scenarios and different considerations for different ways to price and the pricing psychology behind it. And as I was encountering all these questions, I realized, you know what? I'm going to do a deep dive just on pricing. So I created a workshop called Profitable Pricing. Now, my signature course has that. Actually, several of my courses have pieces of pricing embedded within it, but this allowed me to go super focused on one topic and go very narrow and go very deep. It allowed me to talk about things like pricing for product-based businesses. I talked about what you want to think about when you are pricing so that it is not just willy-nilly. I wanted people to understand that there is an art and a science to pricing, and that in order for you to not just price because you have just thrown it out of thin air or just thought, wow, that number sounds so magical to me, it just sounds so aligned. That's all well and good. But if it is not going to help you to maintain your profitability, then it doesn't matter how you price things. You will eventually not be able to sustain and stay in business for very long. So that's how that came about. And I find that sometimes this is exactly how the process works when you're working with clients inside of your business. So these workshops, masterclasses, they are more one-off topics. They're allowing you to go deeper into a topic, just like what I had explained around pricing for me within a group program, maybe within your one-on-one, that needs more clarity, that needs more strategies, that allows you to give different options or examples for the people that you are serving. So number 5, VIP days. Now, VIP days can be half or full days. Mine were always virtual, but I've had clients who actually prefer to do in-person VIP days simply because they love to travel. So they were able to combine, work and play together. So price point wise, for me personally, I've done 3K to 10K plus. I've had clients charge, 15K plus. So the pricing is really up to you. But consider that because here's a little bonus tip. Most people, what they end up doing is that they think that because it's a condensed period of time, that rather than somebody working with you for a month, 3 months, or even a year, that how could you possibly charge the same or more for a shorter period of time? They are a different outcome, a different strategy, and a different person. And I want you to consider that somebody who is coming to you, and I'll share here a little bit more in a minute, that somebody who's coming to you for a VIP day, as opposed to a longer term package or a longer term support, is looking for a different outcome, right? And so you have to think about what is the outcome, what is the result, and what is the transformation, and what is the value of that for the people that I'm here to serve for this particular offer. So why did I offer VIP days? Well, it allows for an in-depth dive into your business. We create the plan, We identify key areas to implement. So this is more about strategy. This is more about planning. This is more about then letting clients execute on your own, because we're only together for a very specific period of time, either half a day or a full day, and then we're done. Now, there is some additional support, but it is certainly not very lengthy. I love to plan. This is very similar to how I've helped clients and staff in the past, but really for clients that were at a corporate level, it's very similar to high level executive roundtables. I've done them throughout my career on a monthly basis. So this is something that is definitely within my wheelhouse. It's something that allows me to use the strategy part of my brain and the planning and the like creating the vision of all these pieces, and then matching up where you are and where your business wants to go with how I develop business plans. So that's why I've done them. So for one client, we were able to clean up her offers. We mapped out a complete marketing plan and strategy and identified the gaps in her customer journey. So what was the result? Well, with a few simple tweaks that we made, it had the potential to 4x her already seven-figure business without creating anything new or even having to find new customers. She literally was just taking her existing customers and letting them buy more from her in an easy and guided way, because her offers were kind of all over the place and she was frustrated by that. So by sitting down and going deep dive, that's what she needed. She just needed the strategy. She had a team, she had all the assets. She needed to clean and tweak up her messaging and reprice and repackage some of the things that she already had. But a lot of these items were hidden behind the scenes. And so her customers couldn't readily and easily access them. They couldn't pay for them. And so she was getting very frustrated with the fact that she knew that she was leaving money on the table. So she just needed strategy. She really just needed to know, how do I achieve this? Here's what I have. And now what do I do with this? And so this was the perfect fit for her. Number 6, speaking. So speaking, virtual, in person, I've done everything from free to paid. I've talked about why free has worked for me, and why some people don't do it. You get to decide. These include things like summits, podcasts, conferences or events, guest training, and bonuses for other courses and programs. And sometimes when you are a speaker, you're getting paid, but a lot of times you are paying to be a speaker. That's called pay to play. So I'm not going to be talking about that specifically in this particular offer right now. I'm talking about speaking in general and why I have used this as an offer inside of my business. Why? Why not? Back in corporate, this was actually one of the key ways that I built businesses for that business. So referrals, collaborations, and networking was a critical part of how I built a $15 million business before. I value relationships, and I decided that what would be valuable for me to receive from each opportunity, I got to decide. So that's why I put on here that some of these speaking opportunities were free. Some people may say, well, they need to pay me what I'm worth. They need to pay me for the value. Yes, I believe that too. But at the end of the day, your worthiness does not depend on how much somebody pays you. But the value that you provide, you get to determine how much you want to exchange. And sometimes there's an opportunity that is greater than just money alone, right? So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail what those considerations might be, but what I want you to think about for yourself is, when would it make sense for you to do something for free rather than always doing this for money? That being said, this is an offer, right? And so you still need to sell yourself on people having you as a speaker, collaborating with you, being part of their opportunity. And so if this is something that you're looking for, you may have to start off with free speaking opportunities and gigs. You might not. I've had clients that just get paid right out the get-go. It's not a lot of money. Sometimes it is. It just really depends on how you're positioning yourself and then how you're messaging and marketing and whether or not this is your primary business model. So I have done tons of speaking, I will say, from the time that I was a kid. I won public speaking contests. Now, I love speaking. You might not love speaking. And so just consider whether or not this is something that you want as a potential asset for your business. I do love speaking when I get to engage with an audience. So that is almost always my preference as well. If I can do something live, then more often than not, that checks the box of yes, I will consider doing that for free. Number 7, last but not least, and this is probably the biggest opportunity and the biggest category, and I could have done these all as separate, but I decided I'm going to lump these all together because there are so many different ways that you could encompass this, and I didn't want to get you overwhelmed. So, digital products, I've sold anything from $7 to $997. The difference between this versus a group program is that this is by and large, you just buy it and you get it, and it's up to you. Like you do what you want to do. Now, there is some sort of element with that with group programs for sure, because you don't control what other people do. But there, for me personally, group programs always have some kind of a live element. So that's one of the things that I love the most about group programs is that when I do my group programs, and not everybody is the same way, that I enjoy having a live interaction. It doesn't have to be a lot, but if I have the ability to support people in real time, then that is always my preference for a group program. For a digital product, these can be things like being an affiliate for other products. These can be all kinds of products, right? Think about the things that you already use and love. It could be courses, self-study programs, mini courses, ebooks, templates and tools, journals, and meditation or audio. So I have sold all of these. I have tested all of these. I've had clients who have been in all points of these products. I also have clients who have done physical products. I have sold some physical products. I am not including them here because by and large, it is a very, very small percentage of the types of businesses that I support and the offers that I have created that have generated revenue for me. Have I made money selling physical products? Yes. Is it a big percentage of my overall revenue? No. Is it an area where I will continue to put some focus on? Probably not, because there's some logistical things involved. But that being said, I have had clients who have very, very successful product-based businesses in, the e-commerce space, 6, 7, 8-figure plus. So if that's for you, then you can do it. Okay. Now, why digital products? Because the price points that I have personally sold, and they have expanded beyond $1,000 for a digital course. I love to create. Okay. I can create very quickly when I am in flow. I love to tinker and to improve. And these are quick and easy ways for people to become customers and get access to more step-by-step help in a format that suits them. So there are so many different types of digital products. The sky is not the limit. It's just the starting point. So I hope that this journey through, all the different stages, all the different offers, all the different ways that I have made sales in my business from the time that I've started up to this point, and the offers that I have still continued to put out. And I continue to test and tweak because the thing with any type of business is that you are never done. You are never set and forget. You are constantly testing and tweaking because the market changes, people change. And as a result, because that's a good thing, we have new opportunities springing up all the time. But is that opportunity the right opportunity for you? I don't know. That depends. And it depends on a lot of different factors. My goal in sharing with you what I have done is really to empower you to understand the methodology of the decision-making process, why I did the things that I did, how it fit in, and a general idea of what the price points were and how the structure of some of these offers work so that you can make better decisions for your own business. So now this is where I turn it over to you. It's your turn. Which of these are you most interested in using to grow your wealth? What do you already have in place? What do you want to add? right? This is where you get to take an assessment, an honest reflection of what it is that you do or don't have, what it is that you would like to add on, what it is that you would like to encourage yourself with. And so, as a quick recap, let's just go through really quickly. And this is going to probably make you go, "Bloop." So, let's go through. I should have probably put bullet points, and I apologize for that. But so, 101, I put consulting, but this could easily be coaching as well, because I've helped a lot of clients be coaches. So, 101 consulting packages, coaching packages. Is that something that you already have? Is it something that you want to include? Have you done one-on-one, one-off sessions, right? So that these would be a simple one and done, or it could lead to more. Have you done this? Do you want to add this back on? Do you want to try it? Number 3, group programs. Again, from my definition, these are things that you teach, and typically they're done either live or the teaching's already done and the curriculum's already ready, but you're providing some kind of live support. That's the biggest difference between a group program versus a digital course or a digital program for me. Maybe could be different for somebody else, but how I consider them, a group program has live support. So that's how I make the differentiating factor. Okay. Do you have a group program? Do you want to add on a group program? Could you have the capacity to provide some kind of higher touch or higher service or live support and maybe move away from one-on-one and start to move into group programs? Is that even something that you would want to do? Do you have the capacity to add on paid workshops or masterclasses? Do you have other things that you want to teach where you want to do a deeper dive? Do you want to test a topic that maybe could be developed as part of or would lead into a group program or working with you one-on-one? That would be a great way to use that too. Do you want to travel? Do you want people to come to you? Do you want to work with people in a more strategic way? And maybe VIP days could be the offer that would allow you to do that. Do you want to speak? Right? Are you called or led to share your voice, to share your thoughts, to be a thought leader, and to start incorporating more of what you say and get paid for that as an income stream? So think about that, right? And then the last but not least, because it's certainly hefty, is the plethora of digital products. Do you have digital products? And each one of these essentially could be like a income stream, right? They could be a digital asset. So answer these questions, right? Which one of these are you most interested in using to grow your wealth? Do you have something in place? Now, again, the goal of this, let me just move that so that you can see me again. So here's what I want you to think about as we kind of wrap this up. The point of me sharing all of this behind the scenes of what I did and when I did it and how I did it inside of my business. And again, this was not to go in like how you create a one-on-one package. How do you create a digital product? How do you create an audio that somebody would pay for? How do you write your ebook? How do you do all of these things? It's not the step-by-step how to do each one of these, because that would take like 10 hours. But at the end of the day, I already have programs that have taught some of these, right? This was to pull back the curtain and to share with you, like, what does it take? And more importantly, what are the decisions? How do you come up with what you do and how you do it before you get into the how? It's the how before the how. Does this make sense? It's the why behind the how. It is the you behind the do. Because when you don't factor those in, you can quickly get swept up into a business that may or may not even make any money, that doesn't align to your vision or values, your mission, the way that you want to operate. And then you wonder why things don't work, or why things have stopped working. Because I'm going to tell you, at different stages in the game of life, in different stages in this game called business and building wealth, that there's different strategies that will work best for you. And if you're using an outdated strategy simply because it made money, but you're no longer aligned to it, this is the woo behind the do, right? That there is something to be said about your intention, your focus, and your energy. And regardless of whether or not you're even, tinkering with it at all, that there is a component that will influence and impact how successful it is. Because at the end of the day, if your heart is not in it, if there's no part of your engagement within, like meaning you just are not super aligned, jived, or really anything about what it is that you're trying to build or what it is that you've already built, then it does not matter if it made millions and millions of dollars, things will start to go a little bit wonky. How do I know? Because this has been 2 decades, almost 3 decades now of business building experience. And so I can say this very confidently, without a shadow of a doubt, that just because something has made money in a previous timeline, season, or space in your life, does not mean that it will continue to do so in the same way. Dare I say, most of the time, it does not. And it will cause you a lot of frustration and friction if it does not get addressed. So, bypassing decisions simply because you are avoiding them is still a decision. And in this case right now, what I want you to do is I want you to start to decide, because that was the whole purpose of today, right? Is that you get to decide what it is that you want to do. You get to decide if you want to start to drop offers because it's no longer aligned, right? Maybe you started your business like me and you were working very closely and very intensely with customers and clients. And now you're in a season where that's no longer going to work for you. I have seen a lot of people, a lot of colleagues of mine that are younger than me, right? And they have young children. Now, my children were younger when I started this online game. Gosh, 10 and 8, but they were not meaning they were not little babies or toddlers. They were not like preschool age children. And if you don't have the kind of support that you need in order to manage that, to oversee that, to support that, then adding on more and more complex layers where there's a lot of demand on your time, where you don't have a lot of time, that may not be the best option for you right at this moment. It may make you a lot of money, but it might leave you feeling burnt out, exhausted, and overwhelmed, and with not a lot of patience left over at the end of the day to actually live your life. There is a better way to build a business than doing it that way. And that's why I showcased that there were 7 different types of offers. And even if we just look at the last one with digital products, just that alone, I mean, there were, I think, 7 embedded within that, right? So if all you did was, and I shared this yesterday, I had a client who was super introverted and did not want to build a coaching consulting business, but didn't realize that initially because that's what she thought she had to do. She was trying to mirror what I was doing. We'll talk about this tomorrow, but your business gets to be built your way. And it gets to be successful because you are, and because you've made a decision to do it, and because you've made a decision that that is the result that you expect. And so what we expect, we inspect. And what we inspect, we start to make changes towards. So with all that being said, today you got to inspect something inside of your business so that you can align, what do I expect? And is there a match? And if there isn't, is there an opportunity for me to find something else or to tweak what I'm already doing such that it is better aligned? And if you need help, if you want support, comment sales, send me a message over on Instagram. I'm just Susan McVey, or email me info@susanmcvey.com and we can chat. I will send you information on how I can best support you. At the time of this recording, I am still providing some close support for clients in a very different way, a unique way than what I have done in the past. But regardless of where you are and regardless of when you're watching this, if this is at some point down the road in the future and you are still looking for help, please still feel free to send me a message or a comment, because there may be a different way that I can suggest to you that could be helpful. A resource, a connection, a recommendation, some kind of thing that would help get you going. So never discount yourself simply because you're making assumptions about what somebody else can or cannot do for you. Always be unapologetic about asking for what it is that you want. And if nothing else today, I want you to answer those 3 questions that we left at the end of our time together on this training, which is, which of these are you most interested in using to grow your wealth? Number 1. Number 2, what do you already have in place? Because I guarantee you, if you were to take a look and an audit of the assets you already have, that there are things that you could sell that already could help other people and create income for you. And number 3 is, what do you want to add? Right? What do you want to add? And how does that look for you? That's the little bonus add-on. So I hope this was helpful. Comment sales if you need my help and support. Go to grab your 6-figure blueprint if you want to know more about like the step-by-step of here are the pieces that I had to consider, put in place. That's at susanmcveigh.com/blueprint. And once you get that free resource, there is an opportunity to get another bonus training. You don't have to get it, but it certainly is there in order to shortcut the journey, in order to help you to understand exactly what is presented on that blueprint, which is a mind map of exactly what it took to get from 6 figures in 6 months. And honestly, a lot of it is the same thing that I did to build that $15 million business. The principles are the same. The mechanisms are very similar. And so once you understand how to do this, you can rinse and repeat over and over and over again, because business is meant to be simple. Making money is meant to be simple. Growing your wealth is meant to be simple. So with that, we will see you again tomorrow. This is part of our July series, coming in every single day in order to help you to build, grow, and scale your business and your wealth with simple strategies that you can implement right away. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.